Hello, this is Jamie Magrich. Welcome to Jamie's Craft Table. Today I'm going to do a simple stamping card or a beginner card, a casual card, and an avid card. 3 cards using this stamp here and a couple other stamps and a couple of the other ones. And I'm going to bring in some other products as well. I'll show you them as we get to them. Okay, so let's get started. Let's start with the first one. This is the first card. It's a simple stamping card. And that's exactly, it's very little supplies. You could do it directly on the front of the card. I just wanted to dress it up just a hair by adding a layer of paper behind it. Okay. So for this card, we have a 3 3/4 by 5 inch piece of white, a 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece of Bermuda Bay, and this is the same, will be the same with all of the cards. And then a 4 1/4 by, or 5 1/2 by 8 1/2 scored at 4 1/4 card base. That's the thick. And then I just brought in some basic pearls. I'm using 1 ink pad, Bermuda Bay, and 2 Stampin' Right markers. These are the water-based markers. I have Pumpkin Pie to do his nose, and I think this is Coastal Cabana to paint the stripes in his scarf and that. Okay, so let's get started here. Let's put these 2 aside for a minute. And let's stamp. It's really an easy one. We're going to open the ink pad, ink up my stamp. I'm going to stamp that pretty much in the middle of the card. Perfect. Then I'm going to bring in my sentiment. It says, hoping this season builds heartwarming memories, excuse me. I'm going to stamp that underneath. Okay. Now I'm going to bring in my other pieces. Well, let's color it first before we put it on. I'm going to use the Coastal Cabana, and I'm going to color in the stripes. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Okay, let me continue coloring in these stripes here. I'm using the tiny end because they're tiny little spaces, but the other end works good too. I use that also. Okay. And the orange one for his nose. This is Pumpkin Pie. And then I'm going to mount this to this. And this is Bermuda Bay cardstock. Bermuda Bay cardstock. And Coastal Cabana ink. Oops. There's going to be an 1/8 of an inch border all the way around because this white piece is a 1/4 inch smaller than the Coastal Cabana piece. And the Coastal Cabana piece is a 1/4 inch smaller than the front of our card. Put that on. And then we're going to bring in our pearls. We're going to add 3 little pearls here. Let's put one here, one up here, and one down in here. There we go. There's our first card. That's a simple stamping card. Okay. With card number 2, I'm using the same stamps. This is card number 2. I've introduced a die. Okay, so I've cut down the white piece to 2.5 by 3 3/4. This piece is cut from Stitch So Sweetly die. It's the largest one of these scalped rectangles, and I cut it out of this piece here, which is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. Cut it right out of the center of that. My card base, 5.5 by 8.5, scored and folded at 4 1/4. Now this one's just 1/8 of an inch smaller than the card front. This one is 4 by 5 1/4, and that is going to be 1/8 of an inch smaller than the Misty Moonlight piece. Okay, so let's get started here. I'm going to stamp this the same way that I did the big one, except on the smaller piece. Open up my ink. Stamp my snowman. Stamp my sentiment. Okay, we're going to color it the same way. This time I'll use the big end just so you can see the difference. Really doesn't make any difference. And then the nose. And again, these are the Stampin' Right markers. They're the ones that have the same ink that's in the ink pads. Okay, this is going to get mounted to this die cut piece. Center it up there. You'll see on this one I cut this white piece just a little bit smaller than I did on the original. That was on purpose. Now I'm going to bring in this Coastal Cabana piece. And I forgot to mount these stamps. I needed to show you how to do it. So I'm taking this stamp here, which is the Snowflakes. And there's another one that's a little Snowflakes, and I butted them together. I don't remember which. They kind of just fit together in the little groove. So I mounted them on the same stamp. And then I'm going to use that same ink. I'm just going to stamp around the edges. Keep turning my stamp so I get a little bit different every time I stamp. Just a few more here. Okay, I'm going to just ink up one of these. I guess I can't get in there, so I'm not going to worry about it. Okay. Close this up for now. All right, now we're going to bring in this piece here is going to get mounted to this piece. So what I'm going to do, since there's nothing cut out of the center, I'm just going to put glue on this. Just make sure you stay a good 1/4 of an inch away from the edge, so if it oozes, it doesn't ooze out. This will get mounted on top of there, and this is Misty Moonlight. So I'm adding an extra layer. This one will get some dimensionals on the back of it. Mount that right in the center. This will get mounted on the front of my card. And there's just a tiniest little border. Okay, then I'm going to bring in those pearls again. Oops. Well, this pack is a very old one I've had for quite a while. I hoarded them. I don't know if that's the right word. Here. There we go. There's card number 2. See, I added the layers and added the stamping. So here's the first one. Here's the second one. Okay, so this is the casual stamper card. They might have 1 or 2 a little bit more supplies, but not too many. Okay, so let's go to card number 3. Alright. This is card number 3. I've added the gingham ribbon. I've added a 3rd Stampin' Right marker. This is a pool party, or you can color it with your Stampin' Blend markers. That would be nice too. I've added a wink of Stella. I've added some snowflakes that I've cut out with the stitch snowflake dies. And I've added an embossing folder, and I forgot to bring the... It's a set of 2 folders. Wintery 3D embossing folder. One is the pine tree boughs, and then that one. Okay. Oops. Alright, so I've got the same pieces. I've got my... Where is it? 2.5 by 3 3/4 inch piece of white. I've got my die cut piece that I cut out of the center of here with the Stitch So Sweetly. It's the largest one. And this piece is Misty Moonlight, which is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And then I have my Bermuda Bay layer, which is 4 by 5 1/4. Okay, so let's start with this piece. And then I had a scrap that I cut these snowflakes out of. Okay, let's start with this piece. Go ahead, and I'm going to start stamping the same way that I did before. I'm going to stamp my snowman. Then I'm going to stamp my sentiment. Now, let's put this aside for a minute and then I'll color it later. I'm going to bring in that Bermuda Bay piece. And those same snowflakes I used before, I'm going to stamp down one side. Just going to stamp down the one side. So I'm going to turn it each time. They kind of fit into each other then. Okay. And the other side, I'm going to run through the embossing folder. Go ahead and put that in there and run that through my die cut machine. And I will be right back. Okay, that's what I ended up with. Alright. Now let's go ahead and color this in. I'm done with this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the same Coastal Cabana to do his hat. I'm going to color this top part of his hat as well this time. I'm going to go ahead and color his nose with the pumpkin pie. Okay. And I'm coming in with the pool party. Oops, the other side. And around the left upper side of all of the snowballs, I'm going to do a little bit of coloring there. A little bit here under his armpit. I'm not doing a lot of coloring on there. And then I'm either going, I have a plastic mat, but I'm going to bring in a block. I'm going to scribble this pool party a little bit onto this block. I'm going to bring in my Wink of Stella. I'm going to pick up that pool party on my Wink of Stella. And I'm going to start where I already colored it. And I'm going to just pull it out till it goes white. Don't need much. It makes them all shimmery and shiny. Okay, and I'm also going to, forgot to do down here, just scribble a little bit under here where he has the shadow already. And then spread that out with the Wink of Stella. Okay, so that's the snowman. And you want to wash this off. Don't let that Wink of Stella dry on there. You can wash it off with stamp cleaner, but okay. Let's go ahead and put these together. So I'm going to bring in this piece. I'm going to glue that on. You don't want to scrub the paper when you're coloring too much because it will pill. But it works pretty well. Center that up in there. The dimensionals on the back. This bottom corner here, I want to move this dimensional in a little bit. And that's so we can put the snowflake in there. Okay, let's bring this piece in. I'm going to bring in my seal. This is the Seal Plus, but add some right here to the back of this. At the top and the bottom of the where between where you stamped and you've embossed, there's a line there, and we're going to bring in that ribbon. I'm going to start on one side, stack it in, and wrap it around to the other side, stick it in, bring in some ribbon scissors, snip it off. Okay, now we can attach this to this Misty Moonlight layer. Just like we did before. Put the glue on this one. Stay a little bit away from the edge. To mount this one. This one's going to get mounted to the front of the card. Okay, this one will sit down on top of that. Center it up. Okay. Now these snowflakes, I'm going to just pop out these little pieces in here. One of them's going to go here, so I only need to put glue on that side. So I'm going to put glue just on that side that's sticking to the, like here I'm going to put it. This one's going to get tucked underneath here. So put a little glue in the center. It goes under this corner. That's why we put that dimensional in a little bit farther. This one we just need to put the glue on the right side. It's going to go here. Okay, then we just need to make a bow. Need a glue dot. Oh, I forgot the pearls too. I've got to add the pearls. So we'll add a couple glue dots on the back, or a glue dot on the back. Put this up in this corner. Bring in the pearls to finish it off. Let's see if these ones will stick. One here. One up here. And one down here. There we go. There's our Avid Crafter card. Okay, so there's the Avid. Here's the casual stamper. And here's the beginner stamper. Well, thank you so much for joining me today at Jamie's Craft Table. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And I hope you can find a little bit of time to play with some stamps, ink, and paper. I hope one of these styles suits you and inspires you to create some beautiful cards. Have a great day, everybody.